Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
To those guests who've just joined us, welcome. Our next stop is the Magic Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching our station at the entrance to Main Street, USA, gateway to the 7 scene lands of the Magic Kingdom.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Monday Morning Monorail. This is Justin.
McKenna.
Samantha. And Garrett.
Thank you for the roll call. We are all present today, and we're excited. It is Monday, June 18th, and this is episode number 9 of the Monday Morning Monorail podcast.
Oh, my.
So
We just went deep into the hills of Tennessee.
I was just auditioning for the Country Bear Jamboree. Happy Father's Day for those fathers out there that are listening, and
Yeah.
hope that you had a good one. Hope you were appreciated as you should be by your children.
I think that they did a good
We
job.
appreciated you.
I think they've done a pretty good job today.
Yeah, so we are recording. It's still Father's Day.
Yes.
So for us, and we're calling from the past.
Yes.
This is a recording from the past. So if things have happened in the last 24 hours, we might not be able to talk about it. That's some inside baseball. But we're going to talk about a few things today, and then just to kind of run down the agenda, we'll go through the Walt Disney World news wire as we like to do. We have the Disney Deep Dive with the Dawes, and today we're going to be talking about the Frontierland Shootin Arcade.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the show, we're going to start our first series, and this is going to be all about planning for a Walt Disney World vacation.
Yep.
And hopefully we're going to prepare you to do that planning even better than I've done it in the past, because we're going to walk you through step by step. Lots of pointers. And you have to download every episode to get the complete series. So subscribe and stay tuned, because I don't know how many episodes it's going to take. Could take 10, 15, 20, who knows.
Oh, my gosh. That's a lot of episodes.
Well, you know, we try not to record forever, and so we have to break it up so it's not War and Peace every time people turn on an episode.
Gotcha.
I could read War and Peace. Maybe I should do that.
War and Peace is good, though.
boring.
No, I like War and Peace.
Okay. Boring.
Well, I say let's go ahead and check the news wire then. First thing on the list is, I noticed this on the Disney Parks blog. There was an announcement of an event for June 24th. Morimoto Asia and the Polite Pig present Pigs and Pints, or Pigs Plus Pints, at Disney Springs. So this is going to be a one-day ticketed event where the two restaurants are coming together to present some Pan-Asian and Southern-inspired dishes. Chef Yuhi Fujinaga and James Petrakis. I struggle with both of those. Fujinaga and Petrakis, and Julie Petrakis will present a wide variety of family-friendly fusion dishes that bridge Asian and American South. And then also, guests 21 and up can enjoy craft beers from nearby breweries.
This sounds like my kind of party.
Yeah. So here's some items that are going to be on the menu. Pork cheek tamales, dim sum dogs, Florida peach glazed pork belly, satay with spicy peanut sauce, pork skirt steak, yakiniku tacos, and house-cured charcuterie will be served throughout the second floor of Morimoto Asia. A whole roasted pig will be sliced and served to guests on the upstairs patio.
They should really consider doing this again next month while we're there, because I really think this is my kind of party.
Yeah, and unless I missed some kind of earlier announcement, this was just announced this past week, and this event is happening next week. So it's really just kind of 2 weeks' notice for a one-day event. But if you are someone who's lucky enough to either be an Orlando resident or nearby, or you can make it there in time for this event, it's going to be going on from noon to 3 p.m. on June 24th. Tickets can be purchased in advance for $55 plus tax and gratuity. Children 12 and under are $25. So I'm pretty jealous if you get to do that. That sounds pretty awesome.
It sounds amazing. And anything with pork, it just makes everything taste better.
Everything's better with pork. While we're talking about food, let's go to a even larger food event, which is the International Food and Wine Festival. Signature dining events opened up the ticketing process, I guess you would say, on June 14th. Now this is open for everybody to go ahead and make reservations for 9 of the Epcot signature dining events. Each festival event offers an exclusive, immersive, and tasty dining experience at the World Showcase restaurant, Mexican tequila lunch at La Hacienda de San Angel, wine versus beer pairing at Via Napoli, and then Tutto Gusto is going to have an Italian regional food and wine pairing luncheon, a Parisian breakfast at Chefs de France, French family meal tradition at Monsieur Paul, the Parisian afternoon, sandwiches, macaroons, and bubbles at Monsieur Paul, Hibachi experience, Iron Chef at Teppan Edo, Tokyo pairing at Tokyo Dining Japanese Pavilion, Mediterranean food and wine pairing Spice Road Table at the Morocco Pavilion. So a lot of really cool events that you could be a part of. So get out there, because these are popular. They book up fast, and you got to, even though we're looking ahead to October, November time frame, you're going to want to go out. And if you know you're going to be there, if you're local, snatch up your dates as you can.
Does any of that sound good to you guys?
Yeah.
What do you think?
All of it? They don't
Yeah.
even remember what I said.
No, I don't. I'm trying to think.
McKenna's interested in the Mexican tequila lunch.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Interested in the food.
The Italy beer versus wine pairing. I'm interested in that one, too.
I figured the family would not say the hibachi because we eat that all the time.
Yeah, we're frequent hibachiers.
For something that's supposed to be considered a special occasion, our family likes to go to, not our family, but our relatives around like to go to it every single time.
Yeah, we frequent the hibachi restaurant for all of our special events. So
I mean, it'd be cool for it to happen with an Iron Chef, though.
I don't think these are Iron Chef, they're just famous chefs.
it
Dad
said
said
something
Iron
about
Chef.
Iron Chef. I don't know exactly what that means, but it did say the hibachi experience Iron Chef.
Oh,
So I don't know what they mean by that, but
Yeah.
we'd have to look up the details. And you can do that if you'd like to look up the details of all these events, because maybe you don't remember everything I listed, and I said it in kind of a weird way because it's somewhat hard to read the way they listed it. Go to epcotfoodfestival.com and you can get all the details and make your reservations, or call 407-939-3378. And Disney Vacation Club members may call member services, which is 1-800-900-9800. Those are just a couple events coming up. This next thing is the one that I really kind of wanted to get to. Well, actually, I'm going to switch my order around. I want to talk about this one because I'm really interested to hear what you guys might think about this. So right now, you can enter to win a chance to stay overnight in Avatar, the land of, or Pandora, the land of Avatar. Basically, what it is it's a sweepstakes where you actually get to win a 4-day, 3-night Walt Disney World package, which includes airfare and accommodations for both the winner and a guest. So if we win, it's just me and Mommy going. But you also receive 2 4-day Magic Your Way tickets with a park hopper option, including access to Disney VIP tour guides, $250 Disney gift card. But the main prize is that if you win, you get to spend a night in a tent on the glowing grounds, waking up to a sunrise over Pandora's floating mountains in the Valley of Moara.
So would they be watching you so you don't get out of your tent and wander around the park at night?
I don't know. Here's some more details. It says the winner will have exclusive after-hours access inside Pandora when the park is closed to the public. The winner will also receive a private ride on the Navi River journey and Avatar Flight of Passage after the park closes. And they're calling it a glamping sweepstakes because it's going to be, it's not just a vinyl tent they're throwing up with some sleeping bags in there. It's going to be a little fancier than that.
Hair dryer and straightener will be usable.
So, I don't know. I mean, I just think it's an interesting contest, and it's an interesting prize. And I was wondering that, too. After hours, the park closes. I guess it's, time to start winding down. Are they going to be watching you to make sure you're not wandering around the Animal Kingdom park?
I would want to wander around. I want to check everything out at night.
It seems like the way they're saying that you can explore Pandora after hours.
Can I explore outside of Pandora?
I don't know. Maybe they're going to have it somehow like gated in. The armed guards on the bridges outside, so you can't exit Pandora.
You have your own secret service.
Yeah.
Person's trying to see the giraffes.
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't want you, like,
Getting
climbing
on a
over
ride.
fences or, climbing onto the rides or anything like that. So
You-
they'd have to, and they've got cameras around the park. So,
But
like jumping into an animal exhibit.
yeah,
You
something like
can't
that.
do that.
Serious liability there.
yeah. I bet they would have in your tent, though, really cool goodies and treats and stuff.
Yeah.
I want to
probably.
win.
I want to win.
Does that sound like that's something that would be fun? Do you think, Garrett? Would you be interested in glamping in Pandora?
It sounds fun.
It would be fun if it was only me, though, not like me and a guest. It's just me.
Well, I guess you
hanging
could
out.
make that choice. If you
Yeah.
won, you could just be like, nope, it's just going to be me.
Where can I sign up for the sweepstakes? And am I allowed to sign up?
I think you probably have to be 18. But this is part of the new Walt Disney World D-Camp contest. So I would just recommend that you just Google this because I don't have a link for it. It was all over Twitter. If you followed us on Twitter, I shared the link for it. So make sure, this is one of the arguments I have for you to follow our Morning Monorail Twitter account,
Yep.
Morning Monorail, because I'll tweet out things like this. But it was all over the place. So if you just Google Pandora, Walt Disney World sweepstakes, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Camping, glamping. Make sure you put in
Glamping.
glamping.
Glamping's funny.
It is a funny word.
I think glamping's just about the only kind of camping I'd be able to get you guys to do anyway.
I mean, I would go camping.
I would go camping in Walt Disney World.
I wouldn't go camping. Only cabins.
See?
See, I'm not as bad as the children.
I hope they give you lots of bug spray too, being out there overnight.
I mean, I just got bitten.
What?
And we're in a house.
Okay, what if you're stuck there and then a hurricane,
Well, if there was a weather situation,
a
I'm sure
a
that,
weather thing happens, and
like I said, I
get
don't think
trapped.
people are going to be far away from you.
But I want them to be far away so I can go exploring, jump on
Yeah.
roller coasters.
Yep,
and
not
going
going to be able to do that. Because the roller coasters wouldn't be running; you'd just be sitting in a train car.
Well, you can walk along the roller coaster.
Oh yeah, they're gonna let that happen.
Yeah, come on, McKenna.
People do it on videos all the time.
Yeah, they're trespassing,
Yeah, come on.
breaking rules.
McKenna's obviously not going to win, nor would she be invited if she did.
Yeah, you've now put yourself on record as someone that.
Well, I
They're gonna-
wouldn't do it, but I would want to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you get a job at Disney and then you get to walk around at night?
Still not on the roller coaster
Not on
tracks.
it.
I want to
It
walk on
depends.
the roller coasters.
What if she's like one of the engineers? Then she could.
There's a lot more that's going to go into. So, all right, go to college for
No.
engineering. Yeah, and
I don't wanna go to college
then
for
you
engineering.
eventually are going to be able to walk on roller coaster tracks, maybe.
There you go.
All right,
I don't think that's worth it.
it seems like a lot to bite off just to walk on a roller coaster track. Last thing I want to talk about here, and I really do want to get everybody's opinions on this because I think it's pretty interesting and the different perspectives that we have from our different generations. So Disney on the Disney Parks blog gave us a sneak peek this week at the Disney Parks app, which is coming to Disneyland and Walt Disney World resorts. So there's an all-new mobile app coming to guests at Disneyland and Walt Disney World resorts this summer. You can pre-order it on the App Store and Google Play, and it's free to download. The app will allow guests to play with family and friends while waiting in line for some of your favorite attractions. It says there's something for everyone to enjoy, from activities that interact with select attraction queues to games that bring favorite Disney stories to life in immersive new ways. Guests can also earn and share digital collectibles when they receive themed achievements earned for experience both in the app and across the parks. And with the Disney Trivia feature, family and friends can band together to see if they have what it takes to become Disney Trivia Masters as they discover fun facts about their favorite theme parks. The big debate here is that there are a lot of people who get very upset when you make any kind of suggestion about, like, using your phone to distract you while you're walking around Walt Disney World theme parks, because they feel like there's so much to see, so much to appreciate, so much to take in. Why would you want to look down at your phone when you're in a place like that? You know, you should be connecting with your family, you should be enjoying your environment, taking it all in, and being in the moment. I am on the side of, I don't really think this is such a bad thing, because while I don't think that people should just be walking around the parks looking down at their phones the whole time, if you're standing in line, you guys know how I am. I like us to talk and communicate. I don't want us looking at our phones all the time. But if we're in an hour-long wait, yeah, if you want to pull out your phone and play with the Play Disney Parks app for like 20, 30 minutes to pass some time, I don't have any problem with that.
Well, and you're still connecting with your family. It says you can play games with your family and stuff.
Yeah, the trivia game.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, those lines can take a really long time sometimes. Especially the character meet and greets. Those, like a lot of them, if it's someone really popular, take forever. And it's hot outside and you're tired. So anything to distract the kids from being hot and grumpy at the moment. Because standing in a line is nothing. There's nothing to do, you know?
They're doing better about making the queues more interesting, more interactive, more things to look at. And Disney queues in general start to tell you the story of the ride, so there's a lot to see anyway. But
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Garrett? Are you pro Play Disney Park app or against?
I don't know. I kind of in the middle.
Do you think you'll download it when we go down there in July?
Probably. Might not use it, but I'll download it.
What about you?
Well, I think it's cool. I like to download apps like that if they're offered for like museums and stuff because it just has extra stuff that you wouldn't get along the way, and I think it's really cool to start integrating something that people have all the time on them into things like that. So yeah, I don't know, I'm pro.
Yeah, I guess you can look at it a couple of ways. If people are going to be staring at their phones, playing games the whole time anyway, what difference does it make? The other thing is, like you said, this one is built to enhance your experience in the parks. And there are a lot of people who tour Walt Disney World solo, you know? Or maybe they're people who've been a million times, and this is just kind of another layer of a way that they can enjoy the parks in a new way.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think there's a lot of positives to it, but I could still see the argument of, well, you know, you're at Disney, put your phone away, enjoy what you're doing, and be in the moment. And
Yeah, but you can't, like, 100% of the time always be in the moment at Disney because it is tiring and stuff. So having something to help kind of distract all of that, it wouldn't be a bad thing. It kind of would help to decompress a little, too.
yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I think it could turn into something really fun, especially if you're doing like trivia and everyone's like, "Oh, it's this one," you know. It might be a lot of fun.
They're going to make more money on those trade-in recharging packs that you can buy in the parks now.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
go ahead and buy our own and bring them.
I mean, people already burn through a lot. When you have to use the My Disney Experience app for a lot of the stuff you're doing in the parks anyway, people are burning up their cell phone batteries, and they buy, you know, so they're buying those rechargeable power packs that you can trade in anytime they're out. There's a bunch of those kiosks throughout the park. Yeah, I think sales are going to go up even more for those things.
It's
after this.
smart for them to sell a bunch of them.
Yeah. Well, those were the big things that I wanted to talk about this week. Anything you guys wanted to add before we toss it on over to M3-4D?
Not anything I can think of.
No cupcakes today, McKenna?
No cupcakes.
Oh, so speaking of cupcakes, I did want to give a shout out to TTA Travelers, at TTA Travelers on Twitter. So they recommended, we were talking about, we're going to do some exploring, some resort exploring on the day that we get to the resort in July. As kind of a follow-up to that conversation, they said, you know, they knew we'd never been to the Grand Floridian, but we should go check out the Wilderness Lodge because they feel like it's really underrated and has the best hotel lobby. I was like, yeah, I've heard a little bit about that, and maybe we can get over there. But the big selling point was the campfire cupcake. We looked into that, and if that's not something that you've ever experienced or know much about, this campfire cupcake, yeah.
It's really cute.
It's cool looking. It's got, you know, it's a chocolate cupcake, and on the top they've got a little fire made out of icing surrounded by these little candy rocks, and then they've got a little marshmallow on a stick. That looks like
Yeah.
it's roasting over the campfire.
That looks adorable.
It
I
looks-
bet it's tasty too.
Oh yeah, it looks really good, and you can get it at Roaring Fork at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. That and the frosé is a reason to go over to the Wilderness Lodge, right?
Yeah, I'm really digging the frosé. I
Yeah.
really want to try that.
I can't remember. Did we talk about that last time? Did we bring up the frosé, or was that something we discovered this week?
I don't know.
I think that was a this week discovery.
So the frosé is rosé, wine, and vodka, Tito's vodka. So it sounds pretty good.
Yep.
A little high in alcohol content, so you have to be careful with that. Mixing wine and liquor, probably not the best idea. More than 2 is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things you can get from the little pool bar at the Wilderness Lodge. So if you were hanging out by the pool, that'd be a nice, refreshing drink to have. So
Exactly.
Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up the news wire, and we're going to send things over to Landon and me at M34D. So stay with us. Welcome back to the Monday Morning Monorail. This is Disney Deep Dive with the Daws. Joining me today is our good friend at LANDOZ on Twitter. It is Landon the Daws Doan. Welcome in, Landon.
Yeehaw! Well, let me tell you something, partner. I'm over here coming out of Tombstone, Arizona, shooting me some targets. She-dog!
Well, that seems appropriate because today on M34D, we're going to be talking about an attraction that takes you right back to Tombstone, Arizona. And that, my friends, is the Frontierland Shootin Arcade. Pew,
That's
pew,
some
pew, pew.
highfalutin living. Let me tell you something. 35 shots for one. Okay, I can't keep doing that. I'm sorry.
I like it, though. It's very Carnival Barker-esque, and it feels appropriate for this attraction because this is the first one that we've talked about that really is something that's a little more. I mean, we've talked about a few things that have been unique in the Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom, but this one, I can't think of another example of a game where you get to walk up, you pay some additional fee, and then you've got an objective like this. Like I'm sitting here trying to think really quick. The only thing I can come up with is going to the mini golf course and paying for mini golf. Other than that, usually whatever you're going to do at Magic Kingdom is included with the price of admission, but not for this.
Nope. $1, 35 shots, everybody.
Yeah.
And you should be thankful you get $35 for a shot. Inflation over the years has changed that.
you kind of flip-flop that. But that's okay. We get the point. So this, we're staying with the theme of day one Magic Kingdom attractions. So as with everything we've talked about so far, it opened up on October 1st, 1971. And at the time, technology's upgraded through the years. They've upgraded the guns. Back then, you actually were shooting lead pellets.
Yep.
from the right. They weren't playing around. No joke.
Yeah. Disney Carnival games, they play for keeps.
Yeah. This was actually something where you could have been like Ralphie from A Christmas Story, and you could have shot your or someone else's eye out. So
And not only did Disney have to worry about lawsuits of people shooting the eyes out, it was kind of expensive upkeeping this ride. This ride took 2,000 gallons of paint a year when it come to repaint.
Yeah, so I was gonna mention that.
Nuts.
That's crazy. So basically what you had was you're shooting pellets at metal targets, and the metal targets, picture. Have you ever been to a Target? You know what a Target looks like.
Yep, big building with a red and white logo.
That's exactly what it looked like. And so you're pinging these pellets off these metal targets, and of course it's chipping the paint. But Disney, being Disney, wants things to look like, basically they want everything you experience to almost be like it's day one. So they repaint those targets all the time, or they did back when they were using pellets. And you're right, 2,000 gallons of paint a year, which is somewhat it's kind of crazy to think about. But as we've mentioned with some of the other day one attractions, it's not unique to the Magic Kingdom. Similar attractions exist in Disneyland as the Frontierland Shootin Exposition, in the Disneyland Park Paris as the Rustler Roundup Shootin Gallery, and in Tokyo Disneyland as the Westernland Shootin Gallery. So
come on, Tokyo Disneyland, you can do better than that. That's a lazy name.
They all are somewhat lazy, really. They're very on the nose.
Yeah, they really are. Come on, step it up, California and Paris.
Yeah. So let's take a step back and let's introduce it a little bit better. So what is exactly the Frontierland Shootin Arcade? Well, basically, it's an attraction where, as Landon mentioned, you walk up, you pay $1. They've got guns.
Pay money.
Yeah, real money, cash money. Put it on the table. They've got.
Do you know if Disney dollars work?
Are
Disney dollars still around?
No, they don't. They don't. They definitely don't take Disney dollars anymore. It's one of those things that's like Prussian francs. They're no longer applicable.
So it has the same value as a song.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know. In Disney, a song might get you far.
It might.
Yep.
But you walk up, you put your money down, you get a rifle that's going to look like a rifle from the Old West, and you are shooting into a scene with 97 individual targets, and the scene that you're shooting at is set up to look like Tombstone, Arizona, over Boot Hill in 1850. So, and in the scene, what you'll see is they've got like kind of scale models of a jail, a hotel, a bank, and you're kind of looking from the perspective of the cemetery. I've always thought of it, when I think about it in my mind, it's like you're in a cemetery shooting.
Well, that's dope.
Yeah, I know, it is kind of. You're shooting guns, and
so you paid money to shoot people from the cemetery. I'm pretty sure there's a support group for you, buddy.
Yeah, well, I guess the stakes are somewhat low if you're shooting at people that have already passed, right? So,
I hadn't thought of that. Maybe that makes you like a Frontier Ghostbuster.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm down with that too. But one of the things that makes this a little more fun and unique, of course, Disney doesn't just leave it at you've got targets to shoot at and some cool scenery to look at. All of the targets are interactive, so when you actually connect with a target, if you are a crack shot, as I hope that you are, you're going to activate something in the scene. It could be like lighting effects, it could be sound. Usually there's going to be some sort of animation that's triggered when you hit those targets. So it makes it a little more fun. It gives you a little more incentive to try to nail each one of those targets and get a different result every time you do.
And that is cool. I mean, it's kind of weird now that I hear you say that out loud. Disney kind of incorporated some of that stuff into some of their rides. I mean, you think about the Buzz Lightyear ride where it's literally you're in a cart and they move you through a shooting gallery.
Yeah.
And every time you hit a target, it'll light up or it'll do something.
Yeah, and just like Toy Story Mania as well.
There you go. Exactly. Toy Story Mania as well. And sticking with other theme parks, if we want to stay in the Orlando area, the Men in Black ride over at Universal Studios.
Yeah, and actually similar technology we hear is going to be incorporated into the dark ride that's going to be part of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge as well.
Ooh, oh my God, that could be so cool.
Yeah, I've heard a bunch of different things about that, not to get too off track, but I have heard that there's a chance that it's like you're going to be on one side or the other, so either like the Resistance or the First Order. I think that could be super cool, but we'll see how they execute it. But there will be some sort of a shooting game. And then
I'm going to be in the middle. I'm going to be wearing my brown coat, so bring it on, nerds.
Well, the brown coat would fit very nicely into Tombstone, Arizona. So one of the things you mentioned is we did start out with pellet guns in this attraction. And so
what could possibly go wrong?
You know, well, there was some risk involved, but also a lot more maintenance. Basically, I read that at night, they would spend a lot of time on not only the maintenance of painting the targets, but also making sure that the guns were working and the pellets were being returned to where they need to be.
I hadn't even thought of the upkeep of the guns themselves. I mean, I made reference to the thousands of gallons of paint they had to use to manage the upkeep, but I hadn't even thought of the upkeep of the guns themselves. Yeah, this was. When you lay it out like this seems like a very costly endeavor for Disney, even in a park where, they have to do nightly and daily upkeep on, roller coasters and stuff like that.
But you're right, and it inspired them to upgrade the technology. So now, if you go visit the Frontierland Shooting Arcade today, you will still have rifles that look very similar to the ones that you would have experienced on opening day. But these rifles are much more high-tech. They're actually infrared light rifles now. So,
all right.
Yeah, so that pretty much eliminates the need to repaint targets. You won't need to do that. And these guns hold up a lot better. I don't know if you all have ever used like the guns back from the old NES where you were essentially the light gun using similar technology. Those things last forever. I mean, it's not like
they do. And when I think Frontierland, I think infrared targets. So.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a futuristic Frontierland.
So it is Firefly.
Yeah, exactly. If like I said, your brown coat would fit in very well there.
Shiny.
Yeah. So one of the things that you'll notice today is it's kind of up on a platform. If you were to walk up to the Frontierland Shooting Arcade, you've got kind of a covered area where there's a long counter where all the guns are laid out. You'll also see they've got kind of a penny press area that's set up over there. I don't know, there's some people out there who love to collect those pressed pennies with the various, Mickey characters embossed onto the pennies. So that's something that you could do there as well. But what basically, as I mentioned, so now that the targets work the same way, they're infrared guns, but when you shoot the target, it lights up, makes a sound. I think people are attracted to this for a couple of reasons. I think that the kind of the motion of the things that are moving in there, the lights, the sounds, it's going to pull people to it, draw them to it. People like to have something interactive and be able to actually affect the things, I think, which is exactly what we mentioned about things like Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin and Toy Story Mania. You like to feel like you're a part of it and you're interacting with the attraction. And let's face it, most Disney attractions to date, you're a passive observer. You know, you're riding along, going through the environment, but you're really just watching. This is something where you can actually get involved and you actually can, affect what you're seeing. So I think that's attractive. But the other thing is, people like video games and they like scoring points and getting achievements. I've mentioned I'm that way as well. So it works. And, so the attraction still stands to this day. So.
I mean, you talk about it works. And I mean, to me, it's like once I'm in the park, I don't want to spend another $1 to get in an attraction because I feel like that's cheating. But at the same time, clearly I'm in the minority on this because it's continued since day one, and it continues to be successful. So I mean, I do think that there is a place for an attraction like this. For me, not so much, but I mean, like, clearly I'm not the target, or I'm apparently not the target market for this, and there is an audience for this. So like, I'm not going to come and rain on anybody's Main Street Parade on this. So if you want to go do the shooting galleries at Disney, go for it. But to me, it's like, I don't know. It kind of feels like, I know I've talked about this previously on other podcasts. It's like when I'm in the park, I only have so much time, and I want to be either on a roller coaster or standing in line for a roller coaster. And this, just to me, like, it's a carnival ride. No, it's not even a ride. It's a carnival attraction.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually kind of surprised they don't have somebody out barking for it, to be honest. Because
seriously, they should. I mean, like, just fully embrace the carnival aspect of it.
Yeah. But, it does fit very well into the Frontierland section. If you remember, I mean...
It does. Yes, it does.
I can't speak from experience, but I have watched movies like Back to the Future, and I know when Marty was walking around in the Old West, they actually had a shooting gallery he participated in there. So I have to imagine that was based on actual events, and that they used to do this sort of thing with real guns. So
yep, confirmed right here on the Deep Dive, Disney Deep Dive with the Dawes. The modern day Disneyman landed down. We can confirm Back to the Future 3 based on true events.
That's right. So, Landon, I know you mentioned before we started recording, this isn't something that you've ever done. Do you think that when you go back, like if you had some time, say you were waiting on a fast pass to get on the Splash Mountain, you think you'd stop over, spend $1, and see if you could knock out a few of these targets?
Is it my dollar or somebody else's dollar?
It's your dollar.
Then no, I'm not. Because like I love Disney, and I know I've said the most valuable piece of currency you have once you're inside the park is time. Don't think that I'm downplaying the actual monetary value of money when it comes to that, because Disney itself is not cheap. So I'm gonna be hoarding my dollars.
You've already given them all the dollars you intend to give them for attractions in the park, I guess.
Yeah. For attractions, absolutely. For fun drinks, I'm open to negotiation. Like if y'all have some of them boozy infinity gauntlets, I am all for that.
Yeah,
holler at your boy.
We need to look into that, because I don't think that's something you can get in the Walt Disney World Resort. I think it's only in California, but I could be wrong about that.
Well, you know what? They need to look to their California brethren and realize a good idea when they're looking at it. Because dang it, I want to spend upwards of $35 for a boozy infinity gauntlet, because it's going to cost that much.
Oh yeah, easy.
Like this is not going to be cheap. Like I'm gonna have to get a third part-time job and a mortgage to afford it.
Yeah, this isn't a churro buttercup. This is yeah. So. But anyway, I don't know that there's much more to say about the Frontierland Shooting Arcade. I would just say for myself, I think it's something that I hope they keep things like this in the park, not just because it was a day one attraction, but because it's unique. And I like the fact that Disney offers different kinds of experiences.
Is it unique though? Because it's like, I feel like I admit it, I've never been to this, but I've been to one very similar at Dollywood in East Tennessee, and I'm willing to bet it's not that different.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. What I mean to say is inside the Disney Resort.
Okay,
it's
I
a
follow
unique,
you. Okay,
I
all
don't.
right.
Yeah, I don't want everything that I encounter in the Magic Kingdom to be a dark ride or a roller coaster. I like the variety. I like the option to do
Okay,
a couple
I
different
follow you.
things.
All
Yeah,
right.
and I do feel like there's good reason for that. Not just because you yourself have to appreciate all the different attractions, but because different people enjoy the park in different ways. And so for some people, it might be a fun thing that they do every time. And so I'm more in line with you in that, it's not something I've done in a very, very long time. But at the same time, if my kids said, hey, can we go over here and shoot some of these targets? Yeah, I'd be fine with that. No problem. So,
But also on the flip side, like, are you really going to be that big of a bad guy? Like, if your kids ask you to do something at Disney, no.
You ask them. Absolutely, I'll say no. No, get back in line for that Tower of Terror. I'm paying for the big dollar attractions. Not for
That
you
is true. You did reduce every member of your family to tears the last time y'all went.
I did. Again, if you want
Oh my
pointers,
God, you are a Disney villain.
if you want pointers on how not to do Disney with a family, just hit me up. that email is mondaymorningmonorail@gmail.com, and I will tell you all about how to do it.
Dear Lord, and forward it to Child Protective Services, y'all. Who makes people cry at Disney other than drunk people? Which, I mean, thank God we have the Dapper Dans for.
That's right. So that's a nice teaser. So I think we'll wrap this one up for today. Next week, we're going to be talking a little bit about another unique kind of attraction and day one attraction in the parks. Landon may have already mentioned it, but I'm just going to leave it out there as who knows. It could be that. It could be something else. So
You know what we call that in the business?
I think it's called a teaser.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So for now, if you guys want to hear more from Landon, you know where to do it. You can go to his website. That's buttmunchchips.com. There you can find all of the content that our dear friend Landaws puts out onto the interwebs. He's got a couple podcasts that you might be interested in, Nearfall Radio and Got Talk, which is a podcast all about Game of Thrones, the HBO award-winning series that's on hiatus, and who knows when it'll come back. But when it does, you'll get more episodes of that. Until then, you can follow him on Twitter. That's @Landaws. Landon, thank you for joining me again.
Well, shoo fire, partner. It was my pleasure. She-dog.
Welcome back to the Monday Morning Monorail. I hope you enjoyed M3-4D and the Frontierland Shootin Arcade. Now, that's not something we did when we went to Walt Disney World the last time, and I think I mentioned this when Landon and I were talking, but that was mostly because I was interested in scooting us all along to the next thrill ride or
Oh my gosh.
running across the park, and I
Yes.
wasn't really taking the time.
My feet hurt.
So I've done it before. I've done it a long time ago, but I guess I didn't allow us to fully appreciate some of those things.
Is it really worth it?
I mean, it's just $1 for 35 shots. And it's a fun little thing to do.
Yeah, but you can kind of do those at those carnivals that come to town.
Yes, see, Landon was saying that too. I still think that experiencing something like that in Walt Disney World it's just nice to have variety in the park. You don't want every single experience to be exactly the same, and everybody likes spending their time doing a little different kind of thing. So I think it's fun.
I feel like when we did see it, we didn't really see anyone playing.
Oh, I don't remember.
I wonder how often it's visited.
Well, it's popular enough that they keep it open. So.
Good. Okay.
All right. Today, I wanted to kick off a series that we're going to do, and this is going to be all about helping you to plan your perfect Walt Disney World vacation. Now, there's a lot of ways to go about this, and so we're going to try to cover all of these different categories of all the things that you need to think about. At the end, I'm going to lay out a challenge for this group because we're actually going to, by the end of this, we're going to build our own, based on a certain budget amount, our own perfect Disney World vacation. And it'll be fun to kind of keep track of that and see where we end up. But, the Walt Disney Resort is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world, hosting over 40 million guests annually.
Not surprising.
It sits on... Huh?
That's a lot.
Yeah. It sits on approximately 25,000 acres of land, which is 39 square miles, just south of Orlando. And here are the things you have to choose from when you go to the Walt Disney World Resort. 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, more than 140 restaurants, a shopping, dining, and entertainment district called Disney Springs, the Boardwalk, the ESPN Wild World of Sports facility, 17 resort hotels, 11 vacation club properties, 4 golf courses, 2 mini golf courses, spas, and opportunities for boating, fishing, camping, and even horseback riding. There really is something for everybody at the Walt Disney World Resort, so it's no wonder travelers of all ages flock to the happiest place on earth every year. But planning a trip to Walt Disney World can be overwhelming, not only for first-timers, but the experienced Walt Disney World guest. And you might have questions like, where do you start? Where should you stay? How long should you stay? And how do you make the most of your trip? And most importantly, how much is this going to cost me? As usual, the right answer is typically, it depends. But with the series that we're about to start, we're going to try to help you break it down into small, manageable pieces that should help you on your quest to plan the perfect Disney vacation for you and your family. So here's a breakdown of what we're going to cover in this series. Budgeting for your trip, determining how long you want to stay, determining what time of year you want to visit, whether or not you want to stay on or off property, which resort is right for you, how to pick the right park ticket, should you fly or drive, meal planning, advanced dining reservations, Fast Pass Plus selections, determining if you should rent a car, and what to pack, among other things. That's a lot of questions to consider right there, and I don't even know if I've covered everything in that list. The first piece that we're going to talk about is establishing a budget for the Walt Disney World vacation. And I guess there's a couple different ways you could think about this. One would say you could actually kind of put this at the end and make this the last thing that you think about, because everything that you choose is going to affect your budget up to the point where you have to determine, all right, now how much do I need to save? But I personally think putting it on the front end makes a little more sense, because
it gives you a realistic idea of what you can and can't do.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to limit you, and you're going to be less likely to overspend, I think, if you set that guideline at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it important. Once you establish your budget, you're going to see that that's going to really help you inform a lot of these other decisions. So here's some stats I thought were kind of interesting. According to an article on Travel Agent Central from July of last year, the average American family spends about $2,000 on summer vacations each year. So if you compare that to the median household income in the United States, which was reported as $59,059 last year, a vacation makes up about 3% of that income. According to Credit Donkey, which is an interesting website, but they seem to have a lot of stats and facts and figures, the average vacation cost about $1,145 per person, or $4,580 for a family of 4. That amounts to about 8% of the median household income. A Time.com article from May of last year put together a sample Walt Disney World vacation, assuming a 4-night stay in the late summer at a value resort and purchasing the basic dining plan and a 4-day park hopper for each guest. The family of 4 would be looking at a total cost of around $4,885. This is just a little bit above that number that Credit Donkey quoted at $4,580. So what does this mean? It means Walt Disney World vacations are probably going to cost you a little bit more than your annual trip to somewhere like Hilton Head.
Yeah.
It means you need to go in with your eyes wide open and plan appropriately. You can certainly adjust some of the choices that you make and how you allocate the money that you want to spend. It's really going to be based on priorities. Maybe your priority is signature dining. Maybe it's an upgraded room. Maybe more park days. But whatever it is, you can make it happen. You just need to plan and try to plan as far in advance as possible. Determine what your total budget should be and start setting a little bit aside every month if you can. It's much easier to put a little money into a savings account every month rather than have that hit all at once when the vacation comes.
It'll eventually build up.
And it'll eventually build up, that's right. And if you prefer, you can buy Disney gift cards as a method of saving as opposed to putting that money in a savings account where you might be tempted to dip into it.
But would Disney gift cards work at a hotel?
They do.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You can use Disney gift cards for just about everything on property.
What can't you use them for?
I would have to research that, but I know you can use them at restaurants, hotels, shopping. That covers just about everything you would need.
Yeah.
I'd probably use it at shopping.
Shopping.
Like transportation, maybe?
Well, I don't see. That's a good one. So, if you're staying on property, of course, you've got access to a lot of free transportation. It probably wouldn't go to the minivans, but everything else it would. I mean, because you wouldn't need to pay for the rest of the transportation.
Right.
Yeah, and that's another factor. I mean, making the choice to stay on property might cost you a little bit more, but you do get a lot of perks.
Yeah.
And, you know, for us, I think we prefer to kind of stay inside the Disney bubble. I don't know. I'm looking around to make sure that I'm speaking appropriately for the family.
Yeah.
Even though you might be able to save a few dollars staying off property, but you might have to rent a car and you have to do some other planning if you do that sort of thing. Here are the things that I think you ought to really prioritize when you're setting your budget. Travel costs, and what I mean by that is whether to fly or drive, hotel accommodations, park admission, dining, and souvenirs. If you prioritize those 5 things, put them in the order that's most important to you, that'll help you make those decisions about how you're going to allocate the money. Of course, one of the biggest cost-saving strategies is to drive rather than fly, but not everybody really lives in driving distance.
Right.
And it only really makes sense if you don't live like half a country away. But it can be a big time saver. But you have to balance that against time spent because, you have to balance the dollar saved against time spent because really, we've talked about it. We say it all the time in the segment, M3 4D that we do with Landon, where when you're on Disney property, one of your most valuable currencies is time. So if it takes you 10 hours to drive to Disney, 10 hours to drive back, that's a whole day of vacation.
Yeah, that's true. But the savings for a family of 4 really does outweigh that.
Well, exactly. So I think that's where you have to kind of do that math in your head and say, well, it's going to cost, the difference is this, and that money is money we could put towards something like a fancy dinner or something like that.
Yeah.
You also have to think about priorities in terms of hotels. Are you a person who's really going to spend all your time in the theme parks? Because if that's the case, maybe you just need a place to lay your head and you're not that interested in anything too fancy or all the amenities that a place can offer. But maybe you do want a place that has access to a spa, or maybe you want to be on the monorail loop or something like that. If you stay on Disney property, of course, they have 3 hotel tiers to choose from: value, moderate, and deluxe. You can always camp at the Fort Wilderness Resort.
Yeah, I've actually talked to people who've done that.
Yeah.
And took a tent and camped, and they said that they have the biggest mosquitoes in Florida of all time, and they got eaten alive.
Yeah.
Like it was miserable for them.
Okay,
and
so
it's
you
hot.
need to allocate some of your budget to citronella.
Yeah, just make sure you understand it's really hot and bugs are crazy there.
Yeah. So, and then, like I said, though, you can save a lot of money if you want to stay off property. You can do vacation rental homes. You can actually also rent DVC points if you want to stay in one of the DVC rooms. And sometimes that'll end up getting you into like a deluxe resort for cheaper than if you just paid for a regular room.
Yeah.
So that's another option as well. And the difference is, if let's say like we're going down in July, we're staying at Pop Century, which is a value resort, and we got a rate of about $135 a night. Well, if you were to stay at a deluxe resort and we looked at it, those prices can start for like a basic room like $400 a night. You really are saving a lot of money, but you have to think about what's important to you at a hotel.
Right.
The other thing you have to really think about is how long you want to stay and what you want to accomplish while you're there. So a lot of things to consider. Like, do you want to go to all 4 parks? Are you interested in going to one of the water parks or both? Or maybe playing golf, maybe doing some fishing or horseback riding, like I mentioned. All of these things you have to consider when you're thinking about what you want to accomplish for your trip and how long you want to stay, and that's going to inform how much you're comfortable with spending. But I think, like I said, I think step 1 is really to set the budget and make sure that you stay within that budget. Just say, this is how much I'm comfortable with spending. This is how much I can afford to spend on my vacation. I'm not going to go above this. And I think you'd be very surprised if you start there and work your way backwards.
Yeah.
How much you can actually do. It's just you do have to be willing to make some compromises along the way.
Ramen noodles for 2 months before you go.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I don't like ramen.
So on future episodes, we're going to go in depth on everything we mentioned kind of at the beginning here: where to stay, how long to stay, what kind of tickets to buy, where to eat, all of that. To make it more interesting, though, I really do think it would be fun for all of us to kind of take this scenario and say, okay, I'm going to set our budget at $5,000, which is actually pretty high. As I told you, the average vacation for a family not going to Disney is closer to the $2,000 range. Mm-hmm. But then according to that Time.com article, it was closer to $5,000. So we're going to say $5,000. And
That's a pretty good budget.
That's a very good budget. That's probably more than a lot of people can afford.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice vacation.
Yeah, and it's definitely, trips to Disney for most of us don't happen every single year. So it's something you usually do have more than a year to plan for and start saving for, and you probably need it. But that's what we're going to start with, and then we're going to design our very own Disney trip as we go. So we're all going to get to pick the hotels that we would stay at, how long we would stay, what all we would do while we were there, and all of that sort of thing. So I think that's going to be pretty fun to see what the four of us who have very different priorities and ideas and personalities, what we're going to come up with.
I don't think that anyone's going to like mine because I'm always reminded the kids won't have fun there. So,
what do we say that about?
Well, I
Wine
like going
things?
the wine things. I want to go to all the wine stuff. How much did our first trip as a family cost to go to Disney? I think we were right around $3,000.
It was a little over $3,000 is what we spent. And we stayed at the Art of Animation, and we stayed for 6 nights.
Yeah. I mean, we did a pretty good trip.
But we didn't do like signature dining every day.
No,
We ate a lot of counter service.
Yeah, we definitely
service.
did. And we didn't eat, I think we only did one really nice dinner. Like a fancy, because we went to the Animal Kingdom
Well,
Lodge.
Sanaa was nice,
Sanaa.
but Beer Garden was just as expensive.
That's true. So we did 2.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, I mean, we ate at good places, but it wasn't like we went all out or anything.
Yeah, our signature dining was, or our ADRs were for Sanaa, Beer Garden, and then we also went to the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater. Did we go any?
That was
did
cool.
Did we have reservations for anywhere else on that trip?
I don't think so.
We didn't at Magic Kingdom.
No, because we didn't get the lobster roll.
Right. And at Animal Kingdom, we didn't make plans to, but our Animal Kingdom dinner was Sanaa. So
Yeah.
I think that was it. And we didn't really eat anywhere at Disney Springs. So
Yeah, we did it a little cheaper, but at that time, that's what we needed to do.
yeah, it worked for us. But we were able to do 6 days in the parks
Yeah.
for that price. 6 nights, 6 days in the parks. Was it 5 days in the
I
parks?
think we have 5 days in the park.
Yeah, because we did one in each park, and then we did a split day with Magic Kingdom and Epcot.
Right.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why Justin ran the family like crazy, because every day we were there, he wanted to get everything done.
I did.
So,
I did. And we still
Even if
didn't.
it made our feet into puddles of blood.
There were definitely some casualties of war on that trip.
yeah. We'll also talk about what not to do on a trip during this trip planning.
Yeah. So, do you think this is would you also recommend kind of starting with limiting yourself with a budget, like determining how much you're comfortable with, how much you can afford to spend, and building it from there? Or do you think it makes more sense? Am I wrong in starting us that way? Do you think it makes more sense to say, well, I know I want to spend this many days in the parks, I know I want to stay at this kind of hotel, and then seeing what that's going to cost you, and then trying to make the choice?
I think I do it before and then tweak it
If you
after.
need to. Okay.
I think it just depends on how much money you have to spend in the first place.
Yeah.
If you do it before or after.
I was kind of thinking, when I think about Disney, I've been thinking a lot about this. Like, what would be, if you wanted to try to do everything, what would be the optimum length of time to stay? I really think you need to stay at least like 8 or 9 nights.
I feel like I'd be so tired of
But
doing all of that.
But
though.
what I'm saying is, like, if you did that, there's time for rest days and time to kind of take it slow and take it easy, and it wouldn't be just go. Because if you
Yeah.
only stay 5 or 6 nights and you want to try to do everything, there's just no way. Or maybe the other piece of advice is just understand you can't do everything.
I think that's
in
what
one
is
trip.
the most important
Yeah.
thing is these parks are big and families get tired. So find what people really want to do. Make sure that they get to do it, especially if it's eating a lobster roll. And then make that happen. You don't have to do everything, though.
Yeah,
Especially if you're working from a budget.
right. If you try to make it a little more reasonable in terms of budget, you can probably take more frequent Disney trips.
Yeah.
you don't break the bank on one that you're paying off for several years. Maybe you can go every other year or every year maybe. So anyway, all right. Well, that's where we will start. As we go through this, of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Our faithful listener out there, I'd love for you to interact with us on this. Tell us what your strategies are. What are your favorite tips and tricks? Like I said, this series is probably going to take us several episodes. I'm thinking probably at least 5 or 6 to get through all of it. And I think it's going to be really fun to go through all of this. So hopefully you'll stick with us through it. I just want to say thank you all again for always interacting with us. We have such fun keeping the conversation going throughout the week on Twitter. So I hope that we get to continue to do that. If you have any questions, any suggestions for future shows, any feedback for us, please share it. And we'll give you a shout out here just as we did for the TTA Travelers. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for today. Thank you all so much for joining us. We look forward to speaking to you again on next week's show.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Peace out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for riding with us today. We hope you enjoyed the journey, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, we want to hear from you. Send us questions, comments, and suggestions on Twitter at Morning Monorail. Our email address is mondaymorningmonorail@gmail.com. You can also call our voicemail at 407-917-2144. As we approach the station, gather your belongings and please watch your step as you exit.
See y'all real soon.